And I told the branch manager, I said, listen, I've been banking with you guys for 20 years, even when I had my quick lube. I go, I've never asked for anything big. I go, but I'm asking now. You guys figure it out, step up, get me the money because you're never me.
Okay, alright. So, um, basically, like, so my friends and I, we started a podcast like, I want to say 7 months ago. And in the
Hmm.
beginning, it was kind of just us talking. And I mean, we all like working out and going to the gym, so we started talking about that. But the reason we started the podcast, we realized, was just like we're all super fascinated by entrepreneurship, and that's all
Hmm.
kind of what we want to do eventually, right? It's like own a business or something like that. So we started
Right.
interviewing entrepreneurs just to see like
Uh-huh.
the advice they had for us and also like what they did so we can hopefully copy it.
Right.
So anyways, I'm just gonna like kind of go, I'm not gonna follow like any script or anything. I'm just gonna like ask the questions that like I
Yeah, go
want to
ahead.
ask.
Yeah.
Um, just about like your journey, like kind of what you did, what was
Right.
difficult about it. But yeah,
So so I grew up in my dad owned service stations, gas stations. But back in those days when I was growing up, gas stations didn't have groceries like they do now, like Maverick and gas gas stations were places you got gas, you got your oil changed, you got your car worked on, you got tires on your car. So it was gas stations back then were a complete automotive repair shop. And then as I got out of high school, those businesses started to fade away and gas stations started bringing in the groceries and stuff, and they got away from the auto repair, and auto repair became more specialized where there were tire stores and then just repair shops. And anyway, things got more specialized. And even over there where you're at in Utah, you see them on the corners over there. There's those Jiffy Lubes where you can just go and get a quick oil change.
yeah,
And so, uh, but yet they don't do tires. You'd have to go to a tire store if you wanted tires. And anyway, so I I I hated school. I I was a C D student. I hated school, and I knew that I wanted to have my own business like my dad, and I liked the automotive business. And so I ended up getting married, and I ended up opening up Elko's first Jiffy Lube in Elko. And I went to the bank. Got the financing. It was a real learning experience for me. And anyway, I ended up building a 2 bay quick lube like the Jiffy Lubes over in Utah, and it was successful. But it was a lot of work. I mean, it was 6 days a week. We were closed on Sundays, but I was open 6 days a week. And as the owner, I was there every day, and and it was always, open to close, and but it was a successful business.
yeah. So how
And
did you
and
know
as
that that was gonna work out?
I just felt like Elko needed something like that business in Elko. That's another thing. You got to find a need,
Right.
and typically people need food, they need transportation, and they need good health. So I was more, I kind of picked the transportation, something that people have to have.
Yeah.
And so, and people also want convenience. They want it now, they want it easy. And so anyway, I get this quick lube built in Elko. It's actually down on Idaho Street still today.
Yeah, I've
It
definitely seen it.
it's called Grease Monkey now,
Yeah.
but back in the day it wasn't. But anyway, so I built that, and then it was 2 bays, and then I added on I got that going really good, and it was busy, and then I got into the um, automotive windshield business, and made a lot of money doing that. I added on a third bay just to do windshields in. And then after that, I added on 3 more bays, and we put in 3 auto repair shops. Because at the time when I started, we were just changing oil, but now we were doing everything.
Hmm.
And so, but the other thing is, I I didn't know how to do all this stuff, but I surrounded myself with people that did know how to do it.
Right.
And that's the big thing.
Yeah.
And I paid them really well because I needed them. And I was a good resource for them because I would pay them good, and they were a good resource for me because I gave them an opportunity. And so, like windshields, I didn't know anything about windshields, but I went and found a guy that over in Utah that knew how to do them and was really good. And I paid him a lot more money than other shops would. I didn't make as much because I was paying him more,
Hmm.
but my attitude was, you know, 10% is not something's better than 100% of nothing.
Yeah.
And so, and I had other revenue sources besides just that I was making money off of. So anyway, so that got going really good, and I did really well on that. And then Andy, my brother-in-law, President Morris.
Oh, yeah, 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 I do.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
yeah, he's in the Temple presidency. So he's my brother-in-law. He was in the mortgage business, and we decided we did some land development where we developed the lots, and then we sold them all for people to build on them, or builders could buy the lots and build homes on them. Well, we ended up um, we 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 developed 20 buildable lots. We got the water and the power and everything to the lots, and we paved the road and everything, and then we sold the lots. And we made a lot of money doing that, and that's what really gave me a big shot in the arm financially was real estate. And I was able to pay off that all my debt at the quick lube and the glass shop and repair shop, and I was able to pay my house off at the time. And
Wow.
so then I had a lot of, you know, uh, I had good cash flow because everything was paid for. And then I sold the quick lube and didn't do too much for about a year or so. And I think some of the best businesses to buy are ones that are already existing. And I went down and I talked to the guy at Big O. I kind of knew who he was. And I knew he was getting older. And I just approached him and I said, "Hey, have you thought about an exit strategy? Or you wanting to get out of here and be done?" And he said, "Yeah, he had thought a little bit about it." And I told him I was interested. Anyway, we worked out a deal, and I ended up buying Big O. And I had it for 10 years and really improved it and expanded it. Um, Added on to it. I don't know if you ever noticed it. There's another big warehouse across the street from Big O on 12th Street that I put more bays in a big warehouse and to stock more tires. But that was an over $1 million building. And anyway, I just really improved the business and did really well with that. And uh, and then I was always in. I'm always in. Whenever I go to other towns, like over to Utah or Reno, Boise, I'm always looking. Like I'm just always looking at businesses. Like
Yeah.
driving by them, and like, man, they're busy, man.
Uh-huh.
Like anyway. So, and I've always liked cars, and I've always liked a clean car, but I always hated the car washes in Elko and how long it took to get your car washed, and they just weren't convenient. Well, I saw one of these. They, this was, 8 years ago. They just started to being built and kind of popping up, and I went to one of these tunnel car washes over in Utah, and I thought, man, this is the ticket. This is what Elko needs. And so, and I like the model because it was more absentee owner, you know. And there's some bit, even when I had Big O in the automotive in the quick lube, as I got them going, I was able to, bring in a manager and where I could get away more. And,
Yeah.
I was doing well enough by then because that's another thing. I don't want a job. I want to be a business guy and, slash entrepreneur. But if I'm having to be there every single day making it work, to me, that's just like buying myself a job.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, what if I can pay, if I can get a business that's doing enough business that I can pay one individual or two really good to kind of oversee it and manage it for me, and I'm still around, but I'm not there having to be there all the time.
Hmm.
And that's what I was able to do with the automotive businesses and also with the car washes. And so that's a lot of what I look at in a business. Also, one, is it something that's going to cash flow enough that I can make a living out of it and also pay someone a decent wage to oversee it also, where I'm not having to be there all the time running it.
Right.
Or if I'm not there, it's not making money.
Yeah.
And so and where the businesses I was involved in, I could be open, making money and not having to be there. Now, it wasn't that way initially, but I got it to that point.
Mhm.
So, in some businesses, you just got to be careful. You might, like I said, I look at, three or four things that people have to have, and that's usually a good thing to go into. And then after that, you know, pick that business or that model that you think, that you might want to be interested in going into. But anyway, I to make a long story short, I just knew I wanted to be a business guy slash entrepreneur. I wanted to have good businesses, but I didn't want to have to be there running them all the time. And that was a big thing for me.
Right.
So I don't know if that helps or
Yeah. Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
would you say so? You said that like a lot of these businesses, you were able just to go in and improve them a lot. What would you say is like the attribute or thing that you learned that helped you improve these businesses?
Well, like when I bought Big O, and Big O has over 400 franchises nationwide. Um, the Elko store was an okay store, but after I had been in it 1 year. I had already turned it into a top 10 store. And a lot of it was just, and I knew I could. I knew the guy that owned it was older. He was kind of burned out.
Right.
Um, I knew that his employees weren't doing a good job. I knew that some of them were stealing from him.
Oh,
And well, I knew because I knew the business and I knew ways that they could have been stealing from him. And so when I got in there, I knew I had to have these people initially, the manager and assistant manager, to get going. But I got rid of both of them within 6 months of buying the store. And I trained and brought my own people in and trained them the way I wanted things done. Because a lot of times, if you buy a business and there's already a manager there, they're set in their ways and they don't like you and or the way you're going to do things. And I even did that when I bought the Big O store in American Fork. I kept the manager, but it wasn't. He didn't even last 6 months. He lasted 2 or 3 months, and we parted ways. And I just did things, my way.
yeah,
So it's just understanding the business, having a knowledge of the business, and then uh, you know uh, the biggest thing is, like I said, the changes that you want to make, typically the old employees don't want to do. They want to say, well, this is the way we've done it here for this long or
right.
that long, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah,
And so you got to be willing to start hiring people, bringing people in, and knowing that you're probably going to get rid of the management.
yeah. Was it hard for you to like rehire people to get new managers and stuff?
Um, well, I may not make him a manager right off the bat, but I gotta work with him, gain some trust in him, you know, and then I gotta feel good about putting him into those situations.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just not gonna make a guy a manager and really not know what he can
Right.
do or what he knows or how he's gonna handle things. I wanna test him. I want to see how he does.
Hmm.
And how he handles different situations, and then give him as things develop, you give him more responsibility, and I might make him a supervisor. And a manager is a really strong word. And when I get a manager, that guy is, I feel like he's really loyal. He's got my back no matter what. He's going to be there with me through thick and thin. And yeah, so I'm more of a shift supervisor and then maybe a manager.
Okay, okay.
You know, yeah,
Very cool. So, like, you've now owned quite a few businesses, and when you were just starting, I feel like there was a lot of risk involved with, like, taking out loans and stuff. So, that shows a lot of
there was.
confidence, that you knew it was going to work out. Because, I mean, you saw a need
Yeah.
and you filled it. Um, But what else, like aside from being okay
So,
with risk, what would you say is like the biggest, most important thing that helped you out with starting out?
well, I think the knowledge of what you're going into, you have to have confidence in knowing what you're gonna do. And so there's always going to be the risk. There's nothing guaranteed. Um, I've done a lot of different deals and I've structured deals differently. Um, my first money that I really went to borrow, when I built the Jiffy Lube in Elko, um, my mom and dad took out a home equity loan on their house for $60,000, and they gave that to me as my down payment on my construction loan. So I had to pay them back on a monthly percentage, and I had to pay the bank back also.
Mhm.
So I had that to deal with. But that went okay. The next deal I did, when my brother-in-law and I did that big land development, I found out who owned the land, and I went to him and I made a deal with them that we didn't have to pay for the lots until we sold them. So I didn't have to borrow any money to buy the land. I just had to borrow money to develop the lots. And then as they sold, I would pay my loan off for the development and I would pay the guy back for the land costs.
Mhm.
So you can get into, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but you can get creative with financing. Um, you know, Years ago, and I'd been with my bank a really long time, and I'd never really asked anything from them. They were just my bank. I'd do a car loan once in a while with them, or I had my bank accounts with them, but I never really asked anything from them. And this was about 8 years ago. I went to build that new warehouse at Big O, and it appraised for like 1.2 million, or no, it was going to cost 1.2 million to build. And to build it, you got to have the plans all designed and you have to have it appraised by an appraiser, the plans, to make sure it's really worth what you're building it for.
Mhm.
Well, so I spend all the money getting these plans all made up. I was in it like $20,000 just to have the plans all done and designed and everything. And then the bank had the plans appraised, and it only appraised for 750,000. And they called me up and they say, "Hey, we can't do this. It's going to cost 1.2 to build, and it's only worth 7.5 or 750,000."
Mhm.
Well, I understood what the bank was saying, but what they didn't understand that I saw was this was going to actually really benefit my tire store to where it could even do more revenue, a lot more revenue, and that I wasn't just building a building for someone else or another business that I was going to start up. It was actually going to be a part of my existing Big O business, and it would have a big impact on my business.
Mhm.
And I told the branch manager, I said, "Listen, I've been banking with you guys for 20 years, even when I had my quick lube. I go, I've never asked for anything big. I go, but I'm asking now. You guys figure it out, step up, get me the money, or I'm done with you guys. I'm pulling all my accounts because you're never there when I really, really need you. And I really need you now. And I've never asked before. And they agreed with me, and we worked out another deal on some terms, and they financed that thing for me, and I paid it off like in 3 years. And it just because it did so, Big O could do so much more revenue now
Mhm.
because of the new addition. And so, I've gotten, nasty with financial institutions too that I've belonged with for a long time, and I got frustrated with them. So, so I tell you, one, I got money from my mom and dad once. I had to pay them back. Two, I did the land deal and I got the guy to carry a bunch of it. And then three, I got crappy with my bank again on money that I didn't have and it wasn't appraised for, but they, ponied up and did it. So
Wow,
anyway,
that is awesome.
anyway, so I don't know. And now that I'm doing these car washes, uh, I got a guy in Utah. We just broke ground in Winnemucca on our third wash. And I got a guy in Utah that he he owns his own financing company and he deals strictly with SBA, which is Small Business Administration, SBA loans. That's all he deals with, and he specializes in them. And he charges you a fee. It's like 1.5% of your loan. But he goes out and he puts the whole deal together. He'll find the best rates, the best terms, and uh, and then you pay him a fee. But he deals with it all. I don't have to
Wow.
do a lot of work. And so, like the car wash in Winnemucca that we're doing right now, that bank is the bank financing that is out of New Mexico.
Huh.
They're not out of Utah. They're not out of Nevada. They're out of New Mexico. And on these SBA loans, he's been able to get us good terms, of 25-year, loans, which is really good. It keeps your payments down, you know, a lot more than having a 10-year note or a 15-year. You go to a
Right.
typical bank and they want their money back in 10 years, where the SBA will go 25 years. And I will say on any of the businesses I've bought over the years, I've done the full financing I can get out of them, but I've always paid them off early because um, I don't like I don't like debt, and I've been able to, make extra payments and get them paid off. And that's where the real value is in, you can get your real estate paid for. Um, you're just worth, that much more money. If you have a business that you own the real estate and the business is making money and you're able to make a living out of it and take care of yourself, one, you're getting able to take care of yourself, and two, the business is, building equity every month when you're making those payments.
Yeah.
So you get it paid for, and you get that land paid for and the building paid for, then you have a nice asset that's worth a lot of money to you.
Yeah. So let's go super general now. What advice would you give to like any 20-year-old like me, 20-year-old dude trying to start a business, what advice would you give?
Um, I would, I think it's got to be something you kind of like and are interested in to a point. I mean, maybe you don't have. I hear people say, you got to love it, but I don't know if you need to love it, but I think you need to like it, be interested in it. Um, and do you want to? This may seem really crazy, but I've had all my kids read the book, and they're all in business for themselves. Have you ever heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yes, I've actually read that book. Very good book.
Yeah, I follow Robert. I can't ever say his last name. I even follow him on Facebook. Matter of fact, I read some of his stuff this morning, but I follow him. That was probably the best book I ever read, and it's not a big, thick book. If you've read it, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would tell anybody to go read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and
And
reread it. It's been a couple
yeah,
months.
and the other thing is, oh, hold on here a sec. Um, I read even to this day. I read those kind of books. In other words, I like biographies.
Mhm.
I like reading about successful people and what made them get to where they got. I've read another great book is Larry H. Miller. Do you know Larry H. Miller?
Um, I've heard that. Does he
Yeah.
do something with automotive, like with cars?
Yeah. Okay. So Larry H. Miller died, but he was LDS, and he owned the Utah Jazz,
Oh,
but he got it all from when he was a parts manager he was a parts manager at an auto car dealership. And he's got a book called Driven. Go get it and go read it.
okay.
Anyway, excellent book. And then another one that I really liked was one by uh, Marriott, but I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, J.W. Marriott. But anyway,
I'll look it up.
so you just got to study these guys. And, I remember I've listened to Mark Cuban. You know Mark Cuban,
Yep.
right?
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. He said of course, I don't know if I'd go to this, but as far as best goes, I like his thought. He said if he was young and going to start all over, and I wouldn't do the next part, what I'm going to say, because I think there's other things you can do. But he said he'd be a bartender and he'd buy a duplex. And if you've read Robert's book on real estate, buying a duplex where you're living in one half and somebody else is living in the other half and you're renting the other half out and they're pretty much making your payment on
Hmm.
your housing. And so that's how, they're kind of big on that. And so um I don't know. I think just studying people that you want to be like
Yep.
helps a lot. And I do that to this day.
Yeah.
I still do it.
It's so fascinating to learn about these
I'm
types of
reading
people.
right now. I'm reading. I don't know if you know Charles Payne. He's the big black guy on Fox Business,
No, I don't know.
and he's got a good book out. I'm reading it right now. It's called Unstoppable Wealth or something,
Okay.
and he talks about teaching you how to be in the stock market. And anyway, it's just, there's lots of ways to be an entrepreneur and be successful. You just, you got to be somewhat smart about it and the steps you get involved in, and then just put your head down and go for it. It's really what it is. So
Okay, now
anyway,
this last question is a little bit different, but it's because I know you're a member. But what would you say is like your favorite scripture or chapter, we could say?
I would have to say, and here again, I'm not a scriptorian, and I don't know if you know this about me. I didn't go on a mission, but I can't give you a scripture, but I can tell you, and you'll probably know it. It's in, I want to say Helaman 12:5, but I'm not sure about it. Where it talks about, you'll be in the whirlwinds, and it's a seminary one.
Yeah,
Help me out here.
I think it's here in 5:12.
5:12. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I had it backwards, but I can't quote it. But
is it the one about the rock?
yeah, the rock. Yeah, the rock.
5:12. You have
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
And now my son, remember that it is upon the rock our Redeemer, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the foundation, that when the devil shall send forth his mighty winds, yea, his shafts in the whirlwind, yea, when all his hail and his mighty storm shall beat upon you, it shall have no power over you. Drag you down to the gulf of misery and endless woe, because of the rock upon which ye are built, which is a sure foundation, a foundation whereon, if men build, they cannot fall.
Exactly. And another thing is, and I do feel like I've been fortunate to live where I live. I've been able to close all our businesses on Sundays.
That's awesome.
And when we built our car washes, we took a lot of heat on social media. Like, who closes a car wash on a Sunday? Like, and they're right. It would be a really busy day.
Yeah.
But we're not open. But you want to know what? I don't know if I could get away with that if I was in a bigger area where I had competition. And I'm not blaming guys that have to work on Sundays. There's guys that work at the mines that are trying to provide for their families. And my brother owns Papa Murphy's Pizza here in Elko. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
And
that's cool.
He owns like 4 or 5 more over in Reno. And he's got to open on Sundays. His franchise requires.